I've been covering the different unionization efforts in order to make sure that people get as much money as they possibly can, while also being objective enough, especially as a former local 600 UAW member over at the Rouge Complex. Shout out to all of my people, my local 600 people that's watching this. I have been covering all of the unionizations and the efforts and them negotiating and the upcoming auto strike. And I've also covered, shout out to Bilderberg Boy, I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. I've also covered the fact that UPS drivers are allegedly making the equivalent of $170,000 a year in its new ratification, which the Teamsters had put to a vote, and their people, right, the actual members of the union has ratified. So they voted it in, right? Let me go ahead and give y'all a little bit of insight on what's going on, and then I'm going to break it down because I want to break down exactly what the contract is as stated from an actual driver, all right? Again, hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel.
Now you can expect your packages to keep on moving. Just hours ago, UPS workers signed off on a new labor contract, putting the threat of a strike to rest. So here's what's happening. It's a 5-year deal that includes both pay raises for both full and part-time employees. It also includes cost of living raises and eliminates a 2-tiered pay system between new and existing hires.
What is cost of living raises? It's something that we covered yesterday when we were covering the UAW and what it is that they were negotiating with the Detroit Big Three as far as what they wanted raised or what they wanted their raises to be going forward, right? Cost of living, they abbreviate it and they call it COLA. They call it COLA. It's called cost of living raises. It's basically to keep up with inflation so that workers can align with where the cost of the American dollar or the devaluation of the American dollar is, so that their wages more closely align with whatever it is that they actually have to, what their living cost is, okay? So it's called COLA. So basically pay raises for part-time and full-time employees, cost of living raises, elimination of a pay system between new and existing hires. So they want you to come in and make just around the same as much as the people that's already there. And they want some AC in their vans.
Another big win for workers. New vans purchased starting next year will have air conditioning. This is great with all this heat out there. And right now, UPS claims to move about 6% of the nation's gross domestic product, or GDP, each year, delivering more than 18 million packages a day so far this year. So here's the thing. If employees went on strike, this would have been the largest walkout against a single employer in U.S. history.
So let's back up for a minute, all right? Now I want to break it down, and I want to get to the myths and the actual breakdown of what a UPS driver is going to make going forward. That way we can get some understanding if they're really making $170,000 a year as the ratification of this new contract has taken place. Because the process is the company negotiates with the Teamsters union, and it's the Teamsters union that actually represented them. So the company negotiates with the union, and then they both come to an agreement because the union is supposed to represent the best interests of the workers, right? That's why they got the leadership in there. And then they have to bring it back to a vote. So just because they won that concession from the company doesn't mean that the people actually ratify it. And so until the people actually put it to a vote, it doesn't really matter, right? But the people have recently ratified it. And so now, you know me, I like to have some form of journalistic integrity. So now we're going to break down exactly how much these drivers make, and if they actually can get up to $170,000 a year. Shout out to Randy with his baby.
Randy with UPS video. Just first and foremost, thank you all for the love and support. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are on the journey to 10,000 subscribers. I want to hit 10,000 subs. That is my goal. That would be amazing, guys. But yeah, I can't do it without you guys. Appreciate you guys. But today, guys, we are going to be going over the new pay scale for the regular package car drivers that are topped out. And what I mean by topped out, it means that you have been at UPS and you've been a regular package car driver for 4 years. So that's the minimum to be topped out. So basically, if you've been at UPS for 4 years, you're making the same amount as the guy who's been there for 30 years. Buddy, so I'm in the South, okay? So I'm going to be telling you what I make down here in the state of Oklahoma.
Is this zaddy for y'all? I know a lot of these ladies, they like to get the guy with the long hair and all of that, whatever, so on and so forth. I'm wondering if this is y'all guy. So, long story short, the first thing that he says is You really only got to be there for 4 years in order to actually top out. You only got to be there for 4 years and actually in order to top out as far as being a driver. If you've been there for 4 to 6 years, then you can start to make just as much as somebody that's been there for 30 years. All right, let's continue.
So currently, right now, we are at $41.51 an hour, guys. I got my little cheat sheet right here, so that's what I'm gonna be looking at this whole time. On a yearly basis, guys, if I work 0 hours of overtime, the base salary is $86,340, and we're paid hourly, guys. But say I work no overtime, I'm gonna put all the numbers right here: $86,340. Five hours a week of overtime, $102,528. 10 hours of overtime is $118,717, guys.
All right, so that sounds like a pretty decent living, right? The average household income the last time that I checked it was somewhere between $67,000 and $75,000 a year. That's household. That's combined income from everybody inside of the household across the United States. The median household income is between $67,000 and $75,000 a year the last time that I checked it across the board, right? So obviously it's going to vary different in Mississippi than it is in New York versus California versus Boise, Idaho, okay? And so when y'all say y'all want a high value man, go and get you a UPS driver. No. You want a guy that's out here shaking and moving. You don't want a guy that's out here flicking packages, right? He's saying that basically they're making $41 an hour on a yearly basis. If they never do any overtime, they're going to be making 86 bands, right? 5 hours of overtime on average a week, they're going to make $102,000. 10 hours of overtime, they're going to make $118,000 a year, all right? So that's the current UPS pay scale based off of what it is that this man is communicating to us right now. So now keep this in mind. So actually, let me take a picture of it. So I'm going to reference it when he showed a new thing. All right. So now, when we go over into how much they're going to make based off of their newly ratified contract, this is what it is.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. So once our new contract passes, guys, it'll be towards the end of August. I think it'll pass. So if it passes, these are going to be the numbers right here, guys. We're going to be going up to $44.
So it's already passed. All right.
$26 an hour. You guys can see the base salary now is $90.
So it looked like it went up about $3 an hour on the new pay scale. Now I don't know if it's a yearly pay scale that continues to escalate over a period of time, but I'm gonna pay attention to what it is that he's saying, because it's a lot of myths out there based off of what people are saying that UPS drivers are making on a daily basis. All right.
$2,060. Then you got your 5 hours a week of overtime, your 10 hours a week of overtime. And this would be for the entire year, so you have to average that. And we can work up to 60 hours a week, guys. There's guys that work literally 55, 60 hours a week, guys. So, yeah, potentially making even more.
That would be me. I would be working 60 hours a week because I think that is the minimum that men should work in order to really be able to make some, especially earlier in your life, in order to make some headway. To kill it. So the pay scale looks like an additional $3 an hour based off of when it goes into effect. The base salary went from 86 to 92. 10 hours of overtime went from 118, and I'm just using my mental math because I kind of remember what it is. 118 to 126 based off of working 10 hours additional overtime. I'm guessing that goes up significantly if you work 20 hours of overtime. All right, let's continue.
In August of 2024, guys, and this is all if our contract passes, guys. Like I said, I think it'll pass, but it could change. But this is just if it passes. So in August of 2024, we'll be bumped up to $45.01.
All right.
Base salary.
So it goes up every single year. So it went from $41 to $45 within 2 years. 10 hours of overtime, you'll be making $128,000 a year.
$3,620. And if we work overtime, guys, there's all the statistics. August of 2025, we are getting another 75-cent raise. We'll be at.
So it go up to $130 with 10 hours average a week of overtime. So let's assume you work 40 hours, then you work 50 hours. You'll basically be making $130,000 a year with 10 hours of overtime. All right.
$45.76 an hour. The base salary of $95,180, guys. That's pretty cool. plus overtime. Like I said, overtime, we're daily overtime at UPS, guys. So which means, say I work 10 hours on Wednesday, I got 2 hours of overtime that day if I don't work any days the rest of the week still. In 2026, guys, this is when the pay starts going up quicker. We'll be bumped up to $46.76 an hour, which is $97,260 if I work no overtime, guys. I mean, I average about 8 to 10 hours a week of overtime, so y'all can do the math.
So he makes about $133,000 a year or he will be making about $133,000 a year because he's averaging between 8 to 10 hours a week, or 8 to 10 hours a week in overtime. All right. So just off of the base salary, assuming that they don't do any overtime whatsoever, he's basically a six-figure man. Now compare that to what it is that you guys make, right? Now they out there, they getting inside of the truck, they flicking packages, they doing what they do on a regular basis. I'm gonna be reading that super chat shortly. Thank you, Mark. He's basically saying in 2026, just based off of his base salary alone, he's going to be making $97,000 a year with average of 10 hours of overtime a week, $133,000 a year. All right? This is the type of man that y'all will want. Y'all gonna look at UPS drivers a little bit differently when they come up to your house with them hoochie daddy shorts on, and now the fellas is gonna be looking at UPS drivers and saying, "Hey, fam, what you lingering around? You gonna be on your Ring camera seeing how long your UPS driver linger around when your chick is still at home because she keeps saying that she working from home that day." Now y'all gonna be looking at the Ring camera every time you got a package coming because the UPS man got his hoochie daddy shorts on and he making $133,000 a year in 2026.
Week of overtime, so y'all can do the math. In 2027, guys, we are getting a $2.75 raise. Wait,
base 2027 base, basically 102 bands a year. $140,000 a year working 50 hours. There's people that do way more than 50 hours.
$2.25 raise. I'm so sorry. $2.25 raise. So we will be at $49.01, which is a base salary of $101,940, guys. That is crazy. If we work 5 hours of overtime every week that year, once we're at that new pay rate, would it be $121,053? If we work
I want to get to the end part. I want to get to his highest level. All right, let me see where that is. Is that still this one? Yeah, that's this one. So 2027, they average hourly, or they base hourly is going to be $102,000 a year. 10 hours of overtime, $140,000. They probably can make up to about $160,000, $170,000 a year. And did you see what his perspective was? He said, "Man, that is crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy," right? And I'm going to tell you what this is, right? I think that this is awesome. I think that this is great. I think if the company can afford it and this is what the union was able to negotiate, then awesome. Everybody should get their bags. Make sure you're working at least 60 hours a week. Make as much money as you possibly can, but then make sure you're keeping as much money as you possibly can. But here's the other part of the conversation, right? Because I know a lot of people look at this and they say, well, $140,000, $150,000, $160,000, $170,000 is a lot of money. And it is for the regular person. But here's my question. Should you still be satisfied with that amount of money? Should you still be satisfied with that amount of money? He's saying that this is crazy because he's never had this much money his entire life. He's never generated this amount of money in his entire life. Just think about that for a second, all right? I'm not telling you what you should think. I'm not telling you how it is that you... I remember a conversation that one of my mentors when I was younger, I was like 19 years old. And he said, "Anton," and he was actually talking to a group of us. He wasn't just talking to me by myself. He said, "How much do y'all think is a lot of money? Is $30 an hour, $40 an hour, $50 an hour a lot of money?" And we was like, whoa. We was like 18 years old. No, we was actually in high school. We was like, $50 an hour. And we started doing the math, and we was like, and if we could work some overtime with like that. He's like, what if you made $100 an hour? Is it possible for you to make $100 an hour? What about $150 an hour? What about $250 an hour? Our minds couldn't even really fathom the possibility. And that was way in like 1998, 1999. Our minds just couldn't fathom the possibility of making that type of money. It was just like, I'm going to leave that there. We're going to continue this conversation later.